The reason I put down 2020 election. This is a very interesting election for a multitude of reasons. We have the annoying orange in office, first of all. Second of all, we are living through a global pandemic where mail-in ballots for the first time in history are actually, a significant
It's
portion
more
of the vote.
widespread than just
Yeah.
people who can't go down to vote.
Essentially, right? Instead of, geriatrics and shit like that.
Right.
It's a very
We're getting all
widespread
sensitivities.
very widespread a lot of widespread voting is going to be done through the mail. There's a few issues with this. There's a few benefits to this, and I know Tamid said it while we were doing the stupid thing. The election results will not be finalized on election day, right? And they never are technically. Technically, they never are.
Technically never are. It's just a result of the last 10 years of news media,
Mhm.
and basically being able to count all the ballots up on election day. And usually, just I guess the country's been lucky in that the past however many years, there's never been enough voters after election day to swing a vote.
It is the Super Bowl for CNN, Fox News, NBC, MSNBC.
Right,
It is
right,
the
right.
Super Bowl for these companies. Now, I have a question if anyone knows this. On election night, is that the day the Electoral College votes?
No.
Okay, so how does
No.
does
No,
anyone
no.
know?
So what all the news companies do when they start counting up delegates and stuff like that, all of those are projections, right?
Mhm.
The thing is, those projections are usually pretty accurate, given that all the vast majority of people have their votes counted by that day or on that day, right? That's why you'll see, on those sort of 24-hour wall-to-wall coverages, it'll be, Indiana's reporting in, Iowa's reporting in, right? Whenever those polls close and whenever all the ballots are tallied up, right? But then, of course, that issue here is that after the polls close, the ballots, the mailed in and absentee ballots still have to be counted up.
Okay. So the entirety of the presidential election, right, comes down to the Electoral College votes, right? So when do those actually occur, or do they occur?
That's I've
Like,
never
yeah,
actually tried looking that
so
up myself.
that's an interesting thing. It's like if these mail-in ballots come in late, right? Because we don't vote based on a popular vote, right? So it doesn't even matter technically whether mail-in
Right.
ballots come in early or late. It just depends on who the Electoral College votes for. Now, when do they vote? Like, how do they know when there's enough votes to sway them, I guess? Does anyone have that answer? I mean, easily, could be no. I have no clue.
I have no
See.
idea. I'm
That
googling it
requires
right now.
some googling. Yeah. We're all on the case right now.
So no. Another aspect
It
of this.
says
Yeah.
it says the actual electoral vote takes place in mid-December.
Yeah, that seems right.
Okay, that does make sense.
That does seem right.
Um,
When's inauguration? January, right?
January, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually, I think the first or second week of January.
Yeah. So I mean, Trump saying, or the Trump administration saying that the election has to happen on election day. It's not really true. It's just the
It's
fact
not
that election
true, but
day is a date, and
Him
it's
saying
so
that
simple.
basically lets him. He's been doing this for ages, but him saying that is just another seed to try and sow doubt into the results that come out of the election, right?
Essentially, no, yeah.
The issue being
essentially.
he's basically betting more of his supporters will vote on election day, whereas more Biden supporters
Yeah.
would vote by mail.
You know.
So one thing that could very much be a likely scenario is that on election day, we see that the popular vote that has been tallied up is leaning towards Trump, right?
Mhm.
But in the following few days or week,
Yeah.
if we see that it's leaning towards Biden because of all the absentee ballots that are counted, then Trump or his supporters could easily cry foul play and essentially, make a whole hubbub out of the process.
I mean, the term I've been hearing is blue wave.
Right.
Yeah, that would probably get a blue wave. Another thing about how this election is kind of interesting. I don't know how we had obviously a presidential election during the Spanish flu outbreak. Now, I'm not a history bug, especially about American history, but I wonder how it was taken care of during the Spanish flu outbreak in the 20s or early 20s.
Huh.
So I mean that's very much off topic, and I highly doubt we'll really get into that. But that seems like an interesting place to kind
I
of.
mean, I don't have an answer for you on that one,
Yeah.
but I know specifically there was a precedent set by like even Lincoln during the Civil War was like, oh, our country is at war with ourselves. We're still doing voting by absentee ballots, right? Like
Yeah.
that was still very widespread, while the majority of males in the North would be sent down to fight.
Yes. Interesting. I know Pratik just wrote it down in the sheet here. Says, how the fuck do we not have online voting yet?
Oh wait. Before we go
Oh,
in,
yeah?
I just googled it. 675K died in the U.S. from the Spanish flu.
600? What?
75,000 people.
675,000.
670. Over 500,000 people died to the Spanish flu.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
the thing
yeah.
is, our projections are like right around there, 400K,
No,
and that's just for January 1st.
I mean, yeah, that's also considering before. When was penicillin invented?
I'm googling something else right now.
Yeah.
Penicillin.
That would be
Okay, so-
1928.
1928, and so this is right around time, and the Spanish flu.
1918. So this is
So yeah,
10
this is
years
even
before the
we had
invention of
proper.
penicillin.
You know, we barely had antibiotics. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Not even. I mean, again, not a historian.
Historian. Hey, your
Historian.
words.
I'm not a biology historian, but I'm assuming before penicillin we didn't have anything great. We were just using meth and coke for everyone. But besides the point. So,
We're
to-
definitely this is where the disclaimer again of we are not doctors definitely comes into play.
We're not anything
because
mostly.
While I'm inclined to agree with Nikib, there's a good chance we definitely had
Yeah.
some amount of decent medical technology.
Huh.
Although it's a valid point that hey, you chop off an arm during the Civil War, coke for you.
Yep.
Nothing like a good
Real-
shot of morphine. Morphine is the big one, right? Let's not forget that one.
I could go for some more.
Real quick, I
What?
just wanna. I can too.
Hold
Hold on,
sir.
wait.
This is a-
Before we get completely
I
off the
did-
rails, I want to answer your question you had before.
Yeah.
How did they vote during the Spanish flu breakout?
Mhm.
What they did was pretty much the same thing that's happening now. Most of the poll workers were mandated to. I mean, all of the poll workers were mandated to wear face masks,
Mhm.
and it could only be in a group of. Wait, no. They had to wear masks when it was 2 people or more. So if you were not alone, you had to wear a face mask, and everyone who was voting had to do the same thing.
Interesting.
It was the first masked ballot ever known in the history of America. So pretty much the same way. I don't see what they're talking about. If they talk about mail-in voting, they don't. So I don't know about that.
Right,
Well,
but
yeah.
I
It
think
was a low.
what you're saying still sets a pretty solid picture of a much more dire scenario than what we're dealing with, but a similar, idea of, mask up and try and take precautions against said virus. It's
Yeah.
just this time it's much more politicized.
Yes.
I actually have kind of a segue into the next topic.
Into which like blissful ignorance, or are we still
The
talking about-
tangent.
Oh, the
my
tangent. Yeah, by all means, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So I mean I understand that like they don't want any interference or anything, but at this point it feels kind of dumb because like everyone has access to all of their banking information and all of their private information online. Why can't we just vote online? Like voting is not more important than my identity, right?
I don't think that
Especially
has.
because yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say online voting is like, yeah, of course I would fucking love to vote online, right? I think the issue with online voting is not the fact that can we do it, it's the fact of like the general public in the States, the people who actually do vote, will fear voting online and fearing of getting hacked or this. But it's interesting because if you're willing to mail in ballot, or even during the 2018 elections, there was a bunch of people talking about how ballot machines are all outdated, they're really shit, and you use a pencil and a paper, it's very easy to forge. There's so many contingencies that happen with voting. It's just the general, what's the word I'm looking for? Outlook on things is that
Mhm.
it's unsafe. And that's probably because of the generation that we're in. It 100% will happen. eventually, because it doesn't seem like it won't. It's just the mass public is kind of uncomfortable with it. And remember, the states are
Yeah.
generally very slow on adopting new technology, even if the internet's been around for 30 years at this point, right?
Yeah, I agree. I guess that makes sense.
The thing with online voting is that in theory it's fantastic, right? But like I keep saying, it's safety that's the biggest questionable issue. Kind of for two reasons, right? The ballot machines that Nikib, I think you brought up in 2018.
Yeah.
One of the issues with them is that ballot machines in theory shouldn't be an issue, right? But the two sort of security flaws that come into play is one, when they're hooked up to the internet, which a lot of security experts from what I've seen sort of say there's no reason for that, right? Hooking something up to the internet is just opening it up for attack or opening it up to vulnerability.
Mhm.
And the second thing being the fact that there's always supposed to be some sort of physical record of the votes that are tallied, right? So that if there's something that goes wrong on the digital end, there's still a separate way to confirm what a voter's original vote or intent was, right? As far as having online voting, let's say in a best case scenario, something as convenient as, hey, you just open up your phone and you just pop in your vote for who you want to vote for, that would be great. The issue is that infrastructure would have to be really well funded and done securely enough so as to make sure that there really is no room for attacker vulnerabilities, right? Because an online database or an online whatever sort of UI or infrastructure they set up for that would easily be one of the most targeted things to be accessed by the internet, right? Other countries, our country, like parties in our country would be attacking that. Other foreign actors would be attacking that. It would just be a security it would be like bees to honey in terms of like having people attack it.
Yeah, it would be a very much a target. Now, like government funding is a whole different topic.
Right.
I agree with Samudin. Like, there has to be such a massive team behind it to maintain it, to have it. And it's not the fact that we can't do it. The U.S. easily could do it with a fraction, with a tiny decimal of the national budget. You could very easily do it. It's just there's no public outcry. There's no innate necessity to do it. You know what I'm saying? And like you can like point towards the the failures of even mail-in balloting. Like I mean I think even John Oliver did it like a few weeks ago, where they will match your signature to your DMV. Bro, I have my license from when I was 16. My signature is not what it was before. It is nowhere near what it was before. So even my vote could be canceled because of my signature. And I'm gonna, I guess, try to recreate it, but, even a signature is not a real good indication of your identity.
Yeah, makes sense.
Oh, also, before we switch, I just
Mhm.
wanted to bring up some numbers about mail-in voting. Nicholas, holy cow, Bushin. He's he's a mailman, and his route included Orange and West Orange in New Jersey. He allegedly tossed 1,875 pieces of mail into the dumpsters, and 99 which were election ballots.
Oh, I
Okay.
heard about that
And
guy.
Wait,
yeah,
Orange
he's doing
County,
it
New York?
intentionally. No, New Jersey.
Oh, Jersey.
Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, Orange and West Orange. I don't know where any of that is. It's Jersey, but
Jersey, yeah, bro, Jersey.
but yeah, like it. I mean, damn.
The
man,
thing
that
is,
kinda
when it
sucks.
comes to stuff like that, is like one damn it, like fucking with people's mail is a federal offense, right? It's kind
Yes.
of like the big reason why you're not supposed to, and if you do, you get the law comes down on you real hard because postmen don't play around, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, the USPS have their own sort of, not the FBI, but they have their own branch of investigators. Nikib, you might be able to help me out with what their actual title is. But like the amount of work they go, the extent they go to make sure that mail fraud or like mail theft doesn't happen is ridiculous. But the other thing is
Office of
also,
Inspector General.
yes, thank you, the
the
Inspector
Inspector
Generals. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
take
have
their
an
shit
inspection
really
service.
seriously if people start, messing around with mail,
The
right?
USPS have straight up United States Postal Inspection Service.
Yes,
Wild.
yes. Like it's wild how much they don't tolerate you messing with mail.
I mean, considering
That's a
how much you
federal
get through the
offense.
mail, like, I mean, I've heard of stories and even experienced like green cards getting stolen and like your social security card can get like it's so easy to do it, like it can happen, and those pieces of information are so critical to your fucking livelihood here that it's necessary. It is pretty much necessary. And talking about defunding it is a whole different story, but we don't.
There is
talk
one
about
other
that.
thing I do want to bring up, sort of relate to the fact that Pratik brought up this story.
Yep.
Part of the reason why this story is something that we can even talk about or we're even hearing about is actually due to Bill Barr and Trump's Department of Justice, right? Basically, what I'm referring to is that the Department of Justice has a policy where I don't know exactly what the time frame is, but it's around either a month to two. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but basically a month up to the election, they don't put out any information about cases like this, right? Basically, point being, like, if there are any issues related to voting or could be related to voting, they investigate that themselves and they save it for all till after the election, right? Point being, like, they don't want, like, the same reason why the FBI doesn't put out announce investigations on any political people close to elections, right?
Yeah.
All to make sure that the public doesn't have a misconception on a certain event simply because an investigation was opened up, right? If the FBI investigates a certain politician, but they're proved to be innocent after the election, right?
Yeah.
Then before the election, the public might think, oh, they're being investigated, something must have gone wrong,
That
right?
is true.
Of course,
Ah,
the
yeah,
opposite is true.
Guilty until proven innocent.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, Bill Barr put a memo basically being like, yeah, that rule is still in effect for everything but absentee ballots and mail fraud, right?
Mhm.
Basically announcing to the world, yeah, we want to make sure that if there are any instances where public confidence in this whole system could be eroded,
Yep.
make sure those get out there.
Yeah, this year, the 2020 elections will be, I don't know, I feel like it's going to be kind of watershed for American history. I think what we've lived through with the pandemic and since 2016, I think probably history books will
Is anyone
have it.
else? Is Nikki breaking up to
Am I-
anyone else?
Am I breaking
Sort
up?
of breaking
Just a
up.
touch.
It should
And you
it should
hear,
just
like,
only
music
happen
in the
on Discord.
background.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
there-
fine. Just on Discord.
No, it was a
Oh, okay,
car
okay.
rolling by.
But yeah, no, going back to what you were saying, like, yo, historians will have it's gonna be wild for them to try and decipher exactly what's going on and set up exact timelines for, what's going on publicly versus privately.
Is Trump like the first president that's just like this unwilling to like give up his power?
Oh, Nixon's
Publicly,
somewhere
yes.
up there,
No,
right?
No, Nixon ended up resigning. Nixon ended up
resigned,
resigning.
though.
Did resign, but he got
Yeah.
caught more
The moment he got
red-handed
caught,
than
he's like,
Trump
"Yeah,
ever
leave me."
did.
Yeah, so an interesting thing is Trump will be the first impeached president to actually be on a ballot.
Yes,
Very
that's a valid point.
Very
That's a
interesting. I mean, considering we've only had a few impeachments, the fact that he hasn't even been tried, again, whole different story. We can talk about that some other time. But very watershed. I wonder how we're gonna be looking back at this and how American history is.
Are you guys all doing mail-in voting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have
Oh,
my
mine's
vote.
already
Mine-
been
mine
was-
counted.
yeah.
Actually, I don't know if you guys saw the link, but I managed to confirm that mine was received and counted.
Yeah, I saw
Uh,
that too. Mine was also counted, so
Yeah, I still
I'm
have
good with
mine.
voting though.
I'm gonna drop it off
I
tomorrow.
didn't know
I have
that
it
was a
already.
feature.
I have it already. But yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah, I got spooked because
Oh.
of this. Because of the mailman fucking with the ballots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm actually gonna go in person.
that's
It's
fair. I
an
mean,
option.
that's up to you,
Fine.
but it's also like it's. I'd say, like, I still have confidence in the USPS in general, in the people that work there, right? It's just an issue of, like, I don't remember exactly what the position is, but the head guy that runs the USPS is a fucking
Mhm.
Trump crony who
Mhm.
is actively trying to dismantle their infrastructure.
But yeah, like remember those pictures of people of just mailboxes being carried away in the trucks?
Yeah, mailboxes
Wait,
carried away.
what?
Apparently, yeah, it was a while back. Look up. I believe his name is Louis DeJoy, right? It's the head of the USPS, and he was
Louis with a
appointed by
W?
Trump.
Yeah.
Louis, I believe Louis. Let me quickly double check that.
Louis
DeJoy.
DeJoy, yeah, LOUIS.
Yeah, Louis
Okay, I
DeJoy.
got it. Okay.
Right, so he's literally, his
Mhm.
background is nothing related to any experience in public service or in the USPS. I believe his background is actually related to his competitors, to private like mail firms. But he's basically a large Trump donor that was appointed by Trump because he's a big fat donor.
I mean, half of Trump's appointees have been people who are
Donors?
very much unqualified for their positions. Yeah.
Right. Postmaster General, thank you. Yes, he's our
Postmaster
current
General.
Postmaster General. And he's spent the last couple of weeks, up until Congress tried to tell him to stop, basically dismantling the USPS's infrastructure.
Oh, he's a Republican Party fundraiser. So
Even
not
better.
only is he a donor, he like is an all-around fundraiser. Fuck.
I mean, this is a great case of just like, I mean, we see this often with a lot of Trump's picks, but like there's so much conflict of interest, and yet we're just supposed to gloss over that and business as usual.
That's how that works in this administration.
Where were we?
I don't know.
Well, yeah, what was Louis DeJoy? We were talking about conflict of interest.
Oh yeah, he's a fundraiser. Yeah.
He's a fundraiser. All right, shall we?
Yes.
All right. Well, back at it.
Mm.
I guess we'll just have a quick cut there.
Yeah.
But right, massive conflict of interest. We'll just act like business as usual. Apparently, not only is there a conflict of interest because of the fact that he works, he's just a donor for the Republican Party, so of course he wants them to win. He worked for a logistics firm that does like postal shipping, right? Just not for the USPS. So it's also in his best interest for the USPS to do worse, so that its competitors can pick up the business.
Like
Use more
so many of these appointees. Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
think,
yeah. There's no reaction but groaning to all this.
Yeah,
sort
you
of
know,
stuff.
this is actually perfect for the segue of our, I guess, last topic of the day. It's already been 40 minutes.